Rambo came to our house full grown and ready made. Tina Auntie had already house trained him years ago. Every time I had stopped by at Vidyut's house on the way home from school, Rambo would come running out to welcome us. He was adorably fat. Just wagging his tail made him tired, because that meant shifting his huge bottom, which was attached to his always happy tail, from side to side very fast. So, though Tina Auntie's chocolate cake was world famous, Rambo was the real reason we all went to Vidyut's house so often. One day, Tina Auntie came home looking glum and told Mama,
You know, Situ, we are moving to Dubai.
my first thought was not, oh no, now I'll miss having Vidyut around. Instead, I wondered, will they take Rambo with them? Answering my prayers, Tina Auntie continued.
Yes, I know, Meenu. It is a promotion for Vikram, and we will have a great future there. But what about Rambo?
I won't tell you about all the promises I made to Mama about taking care of Rambo. But within 2 weeks, Rambo had moved in with us. And once Papa realized that Rambo politely did his potty business somewhere at the back of the garden, even he relaxed and allowed himself to fall in love with Rambo. Now and then he would say,
Just remember that this Rambo fellow is not a guard dog. Okay.
that was true. Rambo wagged his big bottom happily at whoever came to the gate. But not everyone welcomed Rambo at first. Pulu, our cat, was quite irritated at his arrival, and she played all her mischievous tricks on him. One day, just a few days after he had arrived, I ran out when I heard some wild barking and angry screaming. There, where the maid had just hung out the week's clean bed sheets to dry, Rambo was scrambling about, leaping on the sheets with his dirty paws. He was acting totally crazy. The maid was furious. One bed sheet was ripped down the middle. The big tamasha of Rambo attacking the sheets only came to an end when the clothesline snapped and all the sheets collapsed over Rambo, smothering him for a moment. Later, as Mama put all the Rambo footprint sheets back in the washing machine, she grumbled. I hope we haven't made a mistake by adopting Rambo. I kept quiet because only I had seen Pulu sneak away from between the rows of clean sheets with Rambo's bone in her mouth. After that, I started spying on the two of them. It was like a TV show, Rambo and Pulu, or Friends and Enemies. One day, from upstairs, I spotted Rambo fast asleep, snoring loudly. Pulu sneaked up. She quietly picked up the bone next to Rambo's snout, turned delicately on her forepaws, and tiptoed away. Her nostrils flared with anticipation at all the meat still left on the bone. Her whiskers twitched with happiness, and she almost leapt onto the window ledge to make her escape when she stopped. To me, it seemed like she realized that stealing a bone from Rambo would be no fun if he didn't know that it was she, Pulu, who had taken it. So she turned around and gave the fat, sleeping Labrador a sharp prod on his big bottom. Only when he jerked awake with a start did she leap out of his reach, up the neem tree, tauntingly holding up the meat-filled bone. A still half-asleep Rambo barked furiously at being woken up from a happy dream probably, featuring lots of people cuddling him, and discovering that his precious bone was gone. He clumsily circled the neem tree, trying to look menacing. After some hectic barking, Rambo lost interest and loped off on hearing the horn of the garbage truck. Though Pullu could now enjoy the bone in peace, once Rambo had vanished, it somehow didn't taste as good. Listlessly, she polished the bone clean, stretched, and then set to clean herself before dozing off. Sometimes, when she was bored, Pullu jumped onto Rambo's back from the tree above him, almost giving him a heart attack. Then she'd run off, just staying out of his reach as he panted after her. Soon everyone realized that all the noise and barking was just Pullu being a naughty cat, not Rambo being a bad dog. But somewhere along all this chasing, bone stealing, and angry barking, they became friends. Pullu never let anyone carry her or cuddle her. But once, when Rambo was sick and weak with a bad stomach, I tiptoed downstairs at night to check on him. And instead of a weak and dying dog, I found a happily snoring one, with Pullu curled up against his fat stomach. One day, it was Pullu's turn to be jolted out of her sleep by the shrill sound of screeching brakes. Mama always said that Pullu's instincts are very sharp. She noticed that Pullu was instantly alert and seemed to feel something was seriously wrong. Pullu looked down and realized that Rambo wasn't around. She dashed off, almost like she knew he was in danger. Mama got the sense of panic from Pullu and yelled out for me to see what had happened. I looked out from upstairs and saw Pullu streak across the garden and onto the road. She raced down the pavement to the intersection, and there she froze. There was a large crowd. She slowed down, and Rani Auntie later told us she spotted Pullu making her way gingerly between 100 pairs of legs. There, at the center of the crowd, lay a smashed motorbike, a dazed rider, and an unconscious Rambo. There was no time to lose. Pullu raced back to the house. In seconds, she was on the kitchen counter, mewing pitifully at Mama. When Mama responded with a piece of fish, Pullu swept it away impatiently. That got Mama's attention. Something had to be wrong for Pullu to refuse fish. Mama hitched up her sari and followed the cat out of the back door. Within seconds, Pullu and Mama had joined me in racing down the road towards the crowd of people. When we arrived, we saw that the rider of the bike hadn't been injured, so all the crowd's attention and sympathy was on the poor dog. Rambo still lay on his side, looking dazed but no longer unconscious. That was a relief. While people stroked and clucked over him, he caught Pullu's eye and gave her a weak tail wag. The bike was a wreck, so it was only luck that had saved Rambo. And maybe his fat bottom, which wasn't easy to run over. Crowds are no place for a cat, so with Rambo safe, Pullu slunk away. Later, after the crowd had dispersed, only Rani Auntie stayed back telling us about how Pullu had behaved. We then walked Rambo home slowly. As we approached our gate, we heard loud, angry barking. That was Duke, the fatter and lazier Alsatian from next door. Just as I began to wonder what the problem could be, I spotted Pullu. She'd leaped onto our wall from the roof of Duke's kennel. In her mouth, she had a big bone of mutton dripping with gravy. As she jumped down into our garden, we heard poor Duke's barks get more frenzied. Pullu padded along ahead of us and dropped her trophy beside Rambo's water bowl. And tired as he was, Rambo plonked himself down beside this new bone, licking up the gravy happily. I'd never seen Pulu look so motherly. I also knew that from now she and Rambo were friends forever. Her mischief would be only reserved for poor Duke.